had a very big surprise this morning. We go outside and one of our donkeys gave birth.
Hi, I'm Sarah, part of Our Simple Homestead, Cash's crew, home of Cash the donkey. Today I am going to share the story of Cash from the very beginning. And as you can see, we are not in your typical pasture. This is not where Cash is normally living. He is going to be living in here for the next 6 weeks. So Cash just underwent some major surgery 2 weeks ago, and part of the recovery means he's got to stay in here for 6 weeks, which he's not super excited about. So let's see how this goes. Cash's birth is really where it all begins, and that's the true miracle in this whole story. Rick and I lived in Florida on a farm, and we had 3 donkeys. One was Cash's mama, and one was his dad, Trek. And we knew his mom was pregnant, but normally when donkeys are pregnant, they get really wide. And Cash's mom wasn't that wide, so we thought we still had several months before Cash was going to be born. We weren't on baby watch at all. One morning, Rick and I went and fed the animals. On a whim, Rick was like, hey, let's go for a walk. We were walking our fences and we were walking towards an area of the farm that we never go in. Right as we walked back there, I saw Emma.
We had a very big surprise this morning. We go outside and one of our donkeys gave birth way earlier than we thought. So we've got a little donkey in here. The mother, unfortunately, instantly tried to kill the baby by stomping on her and kicking her and rejecting her. So we are now on our way to the vet to get some frozen colostrum to try and save this little one.
And I freaked out. Without thinking, I just ran towards them, grabbed this soaking wet little baby. It was winter, so I threw it in my coat. His mama kept trying to then attack me to get to the baby, and I was panicked, but I wasn't letting that baby go. And all of a sudden I saw Rick start walking, and I'm like yelling at him like, hurry, because he had no idea what was going on. Rick whipped out his pocket knife, cut the umbilical cord, and we ran into the house. We get in there and this little wet thing can't even stand up yet, just kept slipping. We looked at each other and we're like, oh my gosh, what has just happened? Like what is going on here? We called our vet. He's like, the mama tried rejecting him. It can happen sometimes. Basically, he described it like postpartum depression, where the hormones just made her go cuckoo. Then he told us, but you've got to get colostrum in this baby, or else he could get really sick and die. You got to go milk the mama. And we're like, we got to go milk the donkey? Not something we've ever done. Whole time had this baby with us. We didn't know he was a boy. We didn't know anything. We milked her, which was quite interesting. It's not like milking a cow. And we got enough for 2 bottles. Very first night, we made a little bed for Cash on the floor right by us. And it was like having a new baby. Getting up, feeding him, taking him to go to the bathroom all night long, making sure he was okay. He was so sweet and so precious. Fell in love with him that moment. From that moment, I did. And I knew his life was in our hands, which was crazy. The next day the vet came out, made sure he was okay, to make sure that Cash had gotten enough colostrum. Another miracle, he did. Just enough. I think the level needed to be at 800 and he was at 805. Once we passed the hurdle of knowing he was okay, the reality really sunk in. Okay, this is our child now. What was really hard is his mama, her hormones settled down and suddenly she wanted him back. But unfortunately, Cash wanted nothing to do with her. By that point, Cash looked at Rick and I like mom and dad. Like, he didn't want a nurse. He was used to us with bottles. And the vet was very upfront. He's like, you know what? You can let him be back with his mama, but you are going to have to watch them like 24/7. It was really hard. Emma wanted that baby back, and I'll be honest, it took her about 3 months before she forgave me. She wouldn't even let me pet her or nothing, and we were very close before that. There were so many variables that we were just like, you know what? No. We already love this little guy. We want to keep him safe and healthy. And as much as it was so painful to keep him away from his mama, we knew the right thing to do was to keep him with us. That's kind of where the whole adventure began. It was when we made that decision that we were going to essentially raise him like our own child. So here we were, with this new baby, and he just integrated himself into our life. He'd follow us around doing our farm chores, and he was so tiny and so cute. And we thought, you know what? This is so unusual and cute. Not everybody has an indoor donkey. We just, on a whim, started sharing, you know, what was going on in our life with this baby in the house. And it just caught the attention of people so quickly. His amazing personality emerged. I mean, this little guy was so full of life, and people just couldn't get enough of it. It was just so amazing to watch something that had such a hard start to life suddenly be so full of life. Those first few weeks were a blur. I would make the bottle, Rick would take him out to go to the bathroom. And we had a special trick to get him to go to the bathroom, because here it was like the middle of the night. He's not just going to go on command. And we learned very quickly that donkeys are communal peers. He saw us pee and smelled it, he would pee. And that was the best way to get him to go to the bathroom outside, not in the house, and to do it every time we got him up. And it was hilarious. Cash quickly became friends with everybody on the farm. And I think Cash really believed he was like half human, half dog. Every day he became more and more a part of our lives. It developed this funny little kick that he would like run by, zip by some of the dogs, and he'd kick his little leg, like not to hurt them, but just like, hey, look what I'm doing. But unfortunately, him running with the dogs created a little bit of a bad habit. We lived in Florida, we were on 7 acres, it was fenced, and we had a gate. The dogs would always escort every car to the house, like they were telling whoever it was, like, hey, this is my property. And Cash would do it too. Unfortunately, one time Cash ended up getting run over. And it was horrible. We thought he was dying. It was the worst nightmare possible. Our vet came rushing out, and he right away was like, you need to get him to the hospital. He's got a hernia, you're gonna need some surgery. Rushed to the hospital. So scared. A great team was ready for us, like a whole surgical team. But they determined after examining him that it was such a big hernia, they did not want to operate. They felt the best thing for him would just be several weeks of kind of confined stall rest. And so he stayed at the hospital for 2 weeks. Huh. What is it? Is that Maya? Is that your friend? It was really hard being away from him because he has such a big personality and he was such a big part of our life. Yes, hi baby. But we were just so relieved he was okay. After 2 weeks, we brought Mr. Cash home, and it was just so amazing bringing him home and knowing he was okay. But he did have a very big lump now on the side of him from that hernia. Seemingly fine. It did seem like he wasn't running much, which was kind of sad, but he was eating, he was loving, he was still crazy and mischievous, and we had our boy home. It was amazing the support this little donkey received. I mean, he had people all over the world praying for him. Hundreds of thousands of total strangers praying for this little guy. And all coming together to do it. It was very powerful. Huh, Bubs? You got a lot of people that love you, don't you? Yeah. You're pretty special. It was really becoming apparent that Cash had just this incredible story. His whole life story up until that point was just amazing. I have so many people saying, this would be such a great story. Disney needs to make a movie about him. And one of our employees was an amazing illustrator. He had done work for Disney and Netflix, and he was like, Sarah, we're gonna do a book and I'm gonna illustrate it. I'm not a writer, so that whole idea scared me, but I wanted to share Cash's story with the world. Vic was doing the illustration, and it was so fun to watch him create this masterpiece off this story. A lot of back and forth and just trying to get the story just right, but eventually we had a book. It became something everyone was getting for their grandchildren, their friends, their school, their library, you name it. Cash's story was becoming more and more famous, and I'm so proud of it. I never in my wildest dreams thought I would write a children's book, but now I've written 2. life continued with Cash. At that point, we were living in Florida. I started doing a lot of research about how to raise a donkey. And somehow in doing that, it led me down a rabbit hole and realizing just how badly they're abused or shipped to slaughter. And it was horrifying, I'll be honest. We were so close with Cash. It was so hard to imagine that such horrible things could happen to an animal as sweet as him. Rick and I decided we wanted to start saving donkeys and making a difference. And that, maybe a big reason why all of this happened with Cash was for us to start saving donkeys and was to give attention to what's really going on and finding the purpose in what had happened. Very shortly after, I started following a lot of different rescues on social media, and there was a rescue out of Oklahoma that posted 4 donkeys, 2 mamas and 2 babies, cute as can be, and they had been going from auction lot to auction lot, and they had reached the end, and they were about to be shipped to slaughter. And I'll never forget, I went in and showed Rick, no, we can't let that happen. We made a video about it, and within 24 hours, we raised the $2,000 that we needed to transport these donkeys to Florida. We rescued our first bunch, and I'll never forget when they came in on this big trailer. We'd only had mini donkeys, and these were standard, and they looked so big, especially compared to Cash. And Rick and I kind of looked at each other like, oh my gosh, what did we do? Cash was so sweet, so we kept them quarantined in their own pen, and Cash would go up to the fence and it was like he was welcoming them and saying you guys are safe, you're good now.